Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial today where we are going to discuss exercise number 8 in the series that we're doing for Inventor for beginners. And this tutorial is a great tutorial to follow along and learn some basics in Autodesk Inventor that you can use in your day-to-day life. So once you've opened up Autodesk Inventor and you've already created a new sketch and you're into your sketch environment and you've set up your orientation for your sketch, you can start your 2D sketches. And if you do not know how to create parts or even manage your orientation of your sketch, please make sure you go check out our first couple of videos in the series where we've discussed this in depth for you to learn exactly how to operate Autodesk Inventor. But for today's tutorial, we're going to sketch something interesting, and this tutorial is going to be a step-by-step discussion of how you can do this. So please follow along throughout this tutorial and you can learn some neat tricks for Autodesk Inventor. So to start off our sketch, you can see this is our front view here, and we've got our orientation set. This is not set in stone. We can change this at a later stage, and I'll show you at the end of the video. But to start off our sketch, we are going to, in our sketch ribbon, we're going to select the line option in the create section of that ribbon, and we are going to start off our sketch. So for the sketch, I am going to start off at the origin point here. So my X and my Y value is going to be 0. And from here, I am going to draw some lines. So I want this line at a length of 113 millimeters. And once you've done that, let's just zoom into this part real quickly so that everybody can see this better. So as you can see, once you've selected that distance for this line and you press enter, your line section continues to draw, and this is a great option that Inventor gives you so that you can keep on drawing and you do not need to select the line option every time you want to draw a line. So from here, I'm going to then just enter some distances. So I know the base of the sketch that we want to draw is 11 millimeters and our step is a 16 millimeters on top of that. So I'm going to do a simple calculation. So I'm just going to type in my length of the line, I'm going to type in 11 plus 16 to give us 27 millimeters. And once you hit tab, you can see the preview of this line segment. You can still change your degrees of this line. You can leave it at 90 degrees and then just hit enter to confirm that position of that line. So from here, we can see that our sketch at the top here, we have a 113 millimeter section that is our total length, and our step length is 67 millimeters. So I'm still going to use some simple math to calculate this. 113 minus 67, and once I press tab on my keyboard, you can see Autodesk Inventor calculates that exactly for us. So once you're happy with this, you can press enter and then just continue to draw each section of this drawing. So this next line is going to be 16 millimeters, and then I'm just going to head down. You can enter this manually, 67, and from here we can connect back to our origin to complete the base of this sketch. So once you've completed this, I can then just right click and press OK to finish up my line section, and from here we have our basis for this drawing. So as you guys can see, we've got a couple of dimensions here, and if you have entered a dimension incorrectly or you want to change any dimensions, you can simply double click on this dimension and you can see the edit dimension pop-up window appear, and from here you can either enter a new formula that you've used, or you can then just enter the values that you have already calculated or that you have on hand. So this is an easy way to edit dimensions if you have entered something incorrectly into Inventor. And once you're done with this, you can simply head to the right top of your ribbon and you can just select finish sketch. So once that is done, let's just get our sketch in somewhat of a place that we want to see this. So there you can see our sketch now, and from this we want to add some volume to our 2D sketch. So to do this, I am going to use the extrude function in our 3D model ribbon, and it's in the create section of that ribbon. And once you select extrude, you can see this pop-up window appear, and then you have your extrusion properties. So we have done in our previous tutorials a bunch of discussions about extrude. So if you are unsure about anything, please go watch those videos to see exactly how to use the extrude function. And for this, we're going to use our default direction. We want to be extruding from our front to our back section here. So at the right top, you can see the orientation. If, for example, you want to extrude out to the front side, you can then just change your direction. But for this, we are going to extrude from front to back to get this done. So in my direction or my distance, we know from the sketch, we have a distance of 98 millimeters total. And once you're happy with this extrusion and the preview of this extrusion, you can simply just hit enter and your first part, your 3D model, is starting to take some shape. And from this, we can start to expand our drawing into the next sections. So our next step that we want to do is to start to sketch our elements to this 3D model to add on and give this 3D model some true shape. So for this section, I am going to head to the back of my drawing. As you guys can see, this is our back section here, and I want to draw this whole section on this side. So to do this, we've got our existing 3D model and we want to add a 2D sketch onto this model. So it's simple. In your 3D model ribbon, you can head to the left hand side and start a 2D sketch. Once you select that and you drag your mouse across your 3D part, you can see the highlighted areas, and this indicates what face of this model you want to be drawing onto. So for this section, I'm just going to draw on my back side of my 3D model, and I'm going to select this highlighted face. And once you do that, you can see Autodesk rotates into place so that you can start your drawing. So for this section, it's quite simple. We're going to use our line segment again. And once I select my line, I'm just going to draw the outline of this section. We know that the total distance here is 100 millimeters at a 90-degree angle there. And once you select enter from here, you can then just continue to draw each element of this part. So as I enter my distances for my lines, I'm just making sure that the angles of these lines are correct, because I do not want an offset of even by a couple of degrees. Otherwise my drawing will not look exactly the same. And once you start to measure your drawing, you are going to pick up some discrepancies. So for this, I'm just making sure my length and my degrees of these lines are correct. And once you're happy with this, you can simply press enter and continue to draw this section. So I'm just going to complete this drawing here, and I'm just going to edge out all of these sections that we want. So as you can see, we've got our section here, and once you're happy with this, we can then just finish our sketch at the right top corner and then start our next extrusion for this sketch. So let's just rotate this orientation so that you can see better once we start to extrude this. And once again, I'm going to head to the extrude function to extrude this section. So now we can see this, our default direction for extrusion is in the opposite direction. So once I'm just going to flip our direction over to this side, and I'm going to ensure that the output of this extrusion is going to be to join these parts together. I do not want to cut this, otherwise you're going to be left with no 3D model that you have. So I'm just going to join these functions, and I'm going to set my distance of the distance that I want to extrude. So now you can see from this preview, we've got our section set up here, and from here we know that this is going to join to our existing 3D model. And once you're happy with this, you can simply press OK, and the next part of your extrusion is done. So our next section that we want to add is at the back here, that we want to add this face to our 3D model. So you can simply click there. Let's just discuss this for a moment. As you guys can see, our initial drawing, this end is our front side. Let's just go to our front view of this drawing. So you can see we've got our front view here, but let's say you want to change this view where we are now. So out of the right top, you can see this is our left hand view, but we want this to be our front end view. So I'm simply going to select my left side, and I'm going to right click and head down to set the current view as my front view. So from here you will see everything as is in place, and now our orientation has changed already again, and this is easy to manage in Autodesk Inventor. So to get back to our drawing, we're going to head now to the back of this drawing here. We can see that where we are on this 3D model, and now I'm going to add a 2D sketch once again to draw our second element to this 3D model. So I want to be drawing in this section. So once I select this, you'll see Inventor rotate to where you want to be. So now we can start this back sketch here, and I'm going to use the line option again to sketch this exactly how we would like. So I'm going to select from my base here down below, and I know the distance that we need to head up is going to be 63 millimeters. So once you're happy with this, you can simply press enter and then start your next section. So the ridge of this is the width of this ridge is going to be 11 millimeters and at a 90-degree angle. And from there, I'm going to press enter to confirm my coordinate for that point. And from this, I am going to then just connect this part at the top here, head all the way down. We know our distance is 100 millimeters for this section. So you can enter that manually, or you can simply drag your point. But then once again, when you're happy with this, you can then just select enter and continue to join these lines together at the end. And I'm going to right click and press OK to finish my line segment. And now you can see we've got the next option, or our next step for this drawing, that is done. And now we can start to extrude this as well. So once you're finished with this side, you can then just head to the right top of your ribbon and select Finish Sketch. And then once again, head to the Extrude function to start to join this part together. So once again, we can see our direction of extrusion is in the opposite direction. So I'm just going to flip this around to this section, and I'm going to make sure that the output is to join these parts together. So once we've done this and we're happy with our extrusion, our distance is going to be 11 millimeters for the width of this ridge. So then once you're happy with this, we can simply press OK, and our next section of this 3D model is done. And now we can start to complete this in Inventor. So our last option that we are going to discuss to finish off the sketch is to draw this front segment here, and we want to include a hole and a fillet onto that section. So once again, from this part, I'm going to, in my 3D model ribbon, head over to start a 2D sketch, and then I'm going to select this face to draw on. So once I've selected this face, you can see everything rotates as always, and now we can start to sketch this option. So from here, I'm simply going to select my line option again and start my sketching. So I'm going to start at the origin here and just head up, and we know this distance is going to be 63 millimeters, and from there you can then simply just select your distances that you want this to be. So I'm simply drawing a line here. We can, for instance, let's just undo all of this. There is another option that you can do. You can do your line segment here, or you can use the rectangle option. That is also a great option to have. So once you drag this across, you can see the length and the width of your rectangle. And once you select these options, you can enter them manually, or you can just drag to the option. And once you're done with that, you can press OK, and your rectangle is drawn up. So I'm just, after this, going to right click and press OK to finish up the rectangle. But this is an option that you can use as well. So our next section that we want to draw is our cutout for our circle. So I'm just going to head to the circle option, and we can see our coordinate system here. So I'm then just going to use my X coordinate as a 25 millimeter coordinate. My Y coordinate would be, let's do a 63 minus 25 to get the preview of this point on our drawing plane. So once you're happy with this point, you can press enter and then enter the diameter of this circle that we're drawing. So from our sketch, we know this is a 38 millimeter diameter. So once you select that, your circle is drawn up. And once again, I'm going to right click my mouse and select OK to finish my circle function there. And lastly, before we get to the extrusion part of this, I am going to use the fillet function. This is in the create section of the ribbon, and I'm going to use the fillet function. And once you select that, you can then enter the radius of your fillet. So we know we've got a 25 millimeter radius for this section, and once you select these parts, you can see the fillet function work very well. So now that this is done and we're happy with all of this, you can simply close your fillet function there. And once you are happy with all of your dimensions on this new sketch, we can simply head to the right top of our ribbon and finish our sketch. So once this is finished, we can then head back to extrude this section. So from this, you'll see Inventor ask us to select our profiles. This is because we have two sketches effectively on this plane. So once you can see this green highlighted area indicates that this profile will be selected, and you can see the circle will be left out of this profile. So once you head to your circle section, it will only be your circle that is included in the profile. So there are a couple of options that you can do, but we are going to use this section that excludes our original circle there. So once I select that profile, we can start to see our extrusion preview here. And we want the direction to be flipped inwards, and we want our output to be to join these parts together. And once you are happy with this, you can see the preview of this extrusion. And once you are happy with this section, you can simply press OK, and our 3D model is done. And that is today's tutorial. I know this is a breakdown of a couple of sections of this drawing. You can approach this drawing differently, but we do discuss a couple of options that you can use to complete this 3D model. And I hope you enjoyed this video today, guys. If you did, please remember to like the video down below. That really helps the YouTube algorithm get the video out to more people. And please remember to subscribe to our channel so that you do not miss any of our new content coming out soon. But thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, cheers.